people speak about work-life balance, right? I dismiss that. I said, forget about work-life balance. That's a bit like saying work-shower balance. And the idea that my life is put on hold while I'm working is simply not true.
Rabbi Daniel Lapin is a world-renowned rabbinic scholar, best-selling author, and international speaker. Known as America's Rabbi, he hosts the popular Rabbi Daniel Lapin podcast and formerly co-hosted the Ancient Jewish Wisdom TV show with his wife, Susan. Lapin's engaging ability to draw life principles from the Bible and apply them to modern issues helps people improve their finances, family, and community, bringing both Jews and Christians closer to their faith.
And what does freedom then mean or apply to an entrepreneur trying to achieve freedom for themselves? What does freedom mean to you? Welcome, Rabbi Daniel Lapin, right here in person, not on Zoom anymore.
Right. Heavens, I mean, we've spoken many, many times, but it's always been with, 7,000 miles between us or something like that?
And it's my 3 a.m. and I don't know what that time is usually you are. And, you know, I believe everything is meant to happen and I'm here with you. We're still friends till this day. So thank you for...
Gosh, this is such an absolute pleasure. You know, I mean, I feel I know you already because we've spoken about so many things over the years.
Yeah.
But this is a rare treat and I appreciate it.
And this is my first time in Baltimore as well. Beautiful. I was in Washington, D.C., completely new. America still surprises me till this day. But let's surprise me and all the audience further with, we'll start off with a show and tell. I asked my audience to bring something special that means something to you. So what have you got there?
I will tell you, but do me a favor. Just give me an example of 2 or 3 things that previous shows have featured. Like what sort of things have you seen? I just want to know where I'm going to fit in on the scale, you know?
We have done things as a photo, as someone physically came. So one of my guests brought his daughter and show and tell his favorite daughter. I guess he's got other children. I don't want to add the word favorite there. But and then, a key ring, a can of tuna.
A can of tuna.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, you know, I'm a guy. It means I'm competitive. So I just want to know where I fit in on that scale.
So very basic so far, I guess.
I'm not as good as a photograph. I'm certainly not as good as a daughter, but I beat the can of tuna.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. This here is very dear to me.
Wow. And I can't tell what it is as just yet.
I know.
I can't wait for you to tell me.
Well, this is called a sextant.
A what?
A sextant.
Sextant.
Yeah, but sextant.
Sextant.
But don't get nervous. I mean, I know that podcasts can get a little risque sometimes, but a sextant has absolutely nothing to do with anything excepting navigation. And it's called a sextant because it's a sixth of a circle. A circle is 360 degrees, and this instrument is 1/6 of 360 degrees or 60 degrees. And it's got a telescope here and it's got some filters here. And what you can do is you can watch the sun. You see, and as you'll see what I'm doing is you're looking through here. As you're looking at the sun, you are moving this mirror over here. And you're able to see exactly how many degrees above the horizon the sun is. And that's shown on the scale over here.
Wow.
And the reason this is very useful is, well, first of all, not a lot of people have seen one of these. And not a lot of people have handled anything like this. You go ahead and see it.
Very solid.
It's very unusual. Very unusual indeed. Yeah. And I'll tell you why it's unusual, because in this day and age,
very heavy.
You've got in your car, most likely, a GPS. And if you haven't got it in your car, heavens, you've got it on your phone. But I sailed my family on our sailboat to Hawaii. It was one of our great, great summer vacations. And we sailed from California all the way to Honolulu. And naturally, we had a GPS, a global satellite system. But 2 days out of California, it failed and just died. All the little numbers went dim, and that was the end of it. And I had my sextant. And my wife, Susan...
When did you get this device? When was it invented?
About the 17th century. This one is a modern one. But what it lets you do is You see, you've got to know where you are on longitude and latitude. You need to end up with two numbers, which you can then position yourself on the chart. And we had a huge empty Pacific Ocean, and we had to find Hawaii because missing it means going on to New Zealand. It was not a good thing. And the wind blows from California towards Hawaii. So fortunately, a few months before we went, my wife Susan said, "What happens if the GPS breaks?" And I laughed and I said, "GPSs don't break."
Yeah.
She said, "Well, do you have an alternative form of navigation?" And I said, "Yeah, we do. I have a Sextant, but I'm very rusty. I haven't used it for years." And she said, "Well, it would be really good if you'd practice and get good at it just in case." Well, 2 days into the trip, sure enough, the GPS dies, and every day, around about midday, I sat on the deck of the boat, and it's called shooting the sun. You find out exactly when the sun is at its height and how many degrees it is, and you have a watch, and you now know exactly where you are on longitude, and you've got to do a lot of mathematics and calculations to get your latitude. But the fact is, every day we were able to get our precise position and mark it on the chart, and this little procession of dots over the course of 21 days finally led us right to Honolulu.
And it worked. And
it's incredible.
This kind of leads me to something about you, which is you share the ancient wisdom. You share the fundamental of the things that always worked and will always work versus a lot of the modern day teachings and things that really confuses us.
I love that. Yeah, you're exactly right. And I can't tell you how satisfying it was to use a 17th century system. And so I was nervous as anything at the time, but in hindsight, I'm actually delighted that the GPS broke.
Yeah, that's amazing. And let's talk about, I guess, if ancient wisdom is still so true, why is it that the holistic you is still true to this day? The reason why I want to talk about the holistic you, which is your book, which is about having the 5 F's in life: fitness, finance, friends, friendship, and faith.
Yes.
And I personally have discovered that myself. Being an entrepreneur, I was striving for financial success. And when I got there, I still felt really burnt out or a form of pressure and stress and just not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that I was imbalanced in other areas. And this is something quite new that I know not many entrepreneurs have discovered it.
Yes.
But there have been new movement, new books coming out as well on this realization that there's more than just one wealth. It's not just financial wealth. And so where in the Jewish teaching that has still been true to this day about this holistic you?
Very much so, and 3 stars to you for remembering the 5 F's. But yeah, that's right. So we're talking very much about monetary wealth. And yes, it's true. There's wealth. You can have, wonderful family, and you can have fulfilling hobbies, whatever it is. But we're talking money. We're talking about bank account. We're talking about financial wealth. But you cannot talk about finance without also talking about family and your physical fitness, your friendships, and your faith. You got to have your faith, your friendships, your fitness, and your family. All of those 4 things are necessary if you want to win at finance. And the reason is because there are certain things that don't change about human beings. And modern technology doesn't so much as change our reality as much as it camouflages how little things have changed. So by comparison, my grandfather was in business and he was a rabbi, and I'm in business and I'm a rabbi. And we both travel for business, and you travel, right? So, but me and my grandfather, or my grandfather and I, as the grammarians would have us say, both travel for business. When I travel in a very comfortable seat in a very lovely airline. And when I land, I go to a very comfortable hotel. My grandfather traveled in a horse wagon and wasn't comfortable. And at night, he stayed at an inn, and I dare say his mattress was filled with straw. not as comfortable as me. But here's the interesting thing. When I checked the records, we both travel about the same number of days a month. And we both support our families doing that. So no huge change. We're both away from home about 7 days a month. We both support our families in a nice way. And yes, I use modern technology. He lacked that, although compared to 1,000 years earlier, he had very modern technology. So it goes. And so there hasn't been a lot of things changing. And in the final analysis, whether it was my grandfather or me or my son, if you're not doing what you should be doing when you should be doing it, you're not succeeding. Success in life means doing what you're supposed to be doing, and we'll define that already, when you're supposed to do it. And what causes somebody to procrastinate? It's not a financial thing, and it's not a physical thing. You know, you can be in great physical shape and just put off the job that you know has to happen. When you get right down to it, that is the area of spiritual. That is your soul. Your soul is not strong enough to drive you to do what you have to do. Your body is fighting your soul. Your body is saying, I'd really rather just watch another video or watch another movie, or I'd really rather have another steak. I don't want to get to work yet. And so success financially means making sure that your soul is strengthened as well. That's just one of many examples of where this becomes very necessary.
Yeah. So looking back at the financial success, and often modern entrepreneurs, and even I would say even my parents' time, it was thinking that if I love my family, I'm working hard for my family, I will have time for you once I make it. Maybe that first house was a goal. Then it's the second investment property. But there really was no time for health and fitness and family.
Yes.
But they still did it for their family. So I guess I would love to understand a little bit about how that, is that right or wrong?
So people speak about work-life balance, right? And I dismiss that. I said, forget about work-life balance. That's a bit like saying work-shower balance. I mean, I really got to make sure I don't spend too much time in the shower or not enough time. You don't figure things like that, or showering is part of life. Work is part of life. And the idea that my life is put on hold while I'm working is simply not true. And so to that end, one of the things we try and encourage our clients to do is to make sure if you've got children at a developmental stage, include them, tell them what you're doing. And I don't mean just bring them to the office on Bring Kids to the Office Day, but I mean really let them know and teach them something about money. Many parents are incredibly bashful about money, and they don't tell their children, hey, this is what our rent costs. Hey, we have to get a new car. Do you have any idea of how much it costs? Do you know how much mommy gets paid for a day's work? And we include them, and so that way, when you are at work, your children are proud of it, and they feel part of it, as opposed to feeling that you've got to keep these two parts of life completely separate.
So you don't believe in balance, but you believe in integration. So wherever we can to kind of integrate our family with our work, and it shows a good example, but it also helps your kids to understand, and you spending quality time with them. It's like me being able to work from home and, being there for my kids while they need me if they're sick or something like that. But at the same time, I still have my career and I still am able to be there for my kid. Is that what you mean by the integration?
Very much so, and it applies to fitness. One of the 5 F's is your physical fitness. And nobody says, well, I'm going to postpone taking care of my body till I've got my first investment property. You realize that's not a good way to go. And so in the same way that you integrate your fitness into your daily life, and you integrate your work into your daily life, and you integrate your family, it's all part of it. And so, and yes, there may be 2 days that I have to work 10-hour days. But then I'm going to make up for it later in the week. I'm going to take more time off. I want to make sure that all of these things are taken care of. Now, there may be points at which you focus more on one than the other, but I can't tell you how many young women that have come to me as for coaching, and they are asking me this very question. When should I be thinking about getting married? I want to have children. And some of these ladies are, in their late 30s already, and it's very difficult because I have to say to them, "You're kind of 15 years late on asking this question. We'll do the best we can." But that shouldn't have been put on hold. To you would tell me that's an important part of your life.
Yeah.
So you decided to ignore it for the last 15 years. Bad move.
Is that because I guess some reason I can think of is that I'm not financially ready yet. I don't know if I can support my family, or maybe I'm not sure if I'm ready to be able to support another human being and take away my alone time. Why did that?
Well, with boys, with guys, it's always, I haven't found the right one yet. And all that means is I haven't yet become the right one.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, that's complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah. Can you deep dive a little bit of that? Because I do understand that, because that was how I manifested my husband. It was the first time that I was clear on what I want in that guy. But then at the same time, I was taught to also be that person that I want. If I want that person to be ambitious and loyal and family-oriented, I needed to be that person. And it worked for me. And I wanted you to kind of deep dive into that, because we could have people who are single still who need to manifest that.
Right. A very big disservice is being done by the culture to women. And part of it is telling them that you can get married and or have children whenever you like. There's no rush. Build your career first. And then it turns out that doesn't work so well because, number one, 35 years old for a woman is not 25 years old. For fertility reasons and looks and health, all kinds of reasons. And that's a reality. The other part that nobody tells young women about is that guys could care less about your financial career. It's very different. When girls look at a guy, not only are his finances front and center, but they should be. It's very important. And don't let any woman be persuaded that she's being a gold digger by worrying about the guy's money. It's very, very important. It tells us a great deal of crucial, real data about that boy. I don't care if he plays good tennis or if he drives well, but I do care very much what his finances are. And so young women are not being told that you may have built an exciting career, and you may not have, by the way. You might end up being a checker in a supermarket, unfortunately. But even if you build this exciting career, trust me when I say guys couldn't care less. It's not important.
So where did society change, where now we as women feel like we need to prove that we are just as good as guys or better than guys, or that we can do everything that a guy can? And then I guess in sacrificing our own, opportunity to have kids at the right time, because I do have friends that struggle to have kids after they're 30, and they even said to me, why weren't we taught this? I thought it was easy to have a baby. Yeah.
Because a lot of the focus is on contraception, all the years you're trying not to have a baby. And then all of a sudden your presumption is, well, as soon as we stop trying not to, along comes Junior. Doesn't always work that way. And you asked when and how. Well, it actually takes us back. Can I quote something from the Bible? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. I always have to ask, because a lot of shows I go on are purely financial shows, and they're very happy to get the information, but they don't want to know where it comes from.
Yeah. No, I brought you here for a reason. I want all the wisdom.
Thank you. Well, So right at the beginning of Genesis, Adam and Eve sin and they get punished. And one of the punishments that God addresses to the woman is, and he will rule over you. Mm-hmm. The trouble is that it's a poor translation. That's not what the Hebrew says. The Hebrew is Vehu Yimshol Bach. And the word mashal in Hebrew means an example. The curse is that you will start looking at him as an example. You will think eventually that what you got to do is be a better man than he is. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, when a society becomes secularized, mm-hmm. and over a course of time, people begin viewing materialistic explanations for everything, even falling in love. Well, the certain neurons in your brain fired and certain hormones, and that's all it is. Mm. And anybody with an open mind knows that that's not all there is. Mm-hmm. It's not just two bodies connecting, because if it was, then sex dolls would be a big winner in the lonely man business. Mm. But they're not. Why? What's the problem? I mean, a sex doll can provide physical stimulation. Mm. They really do. Mm. Yes, it can give pleasure, but it cannot receive pleasure. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge thing, because every man is hardwired to bring joy and happiness to his woman. Mm-hmm. The old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Mm-hmm. And every man knows that what makes him feel happy and fulfilled when his wife just radiates happiness and joy and gratitude to be with him. Mm. And so the soul is very much a part of it. A sex doll doesn't do it. It's got to be another soul. And so when we make this mistake of trying to secularize our view of reality, which means that every single thing can be explained away by science, and it becomes an unhealthy preoccupation, because scientists make mistakes and scientists lie. Science doesn't, but the scientist does just as much as rabbis or pastors or priests can make mistakes. That doesn't mean the Bible is wrong. It means the practitioner is. And so it's a huge problem, because the society becomes secularized, converting the human being into nothing more than $10 worth of chemicals and put together in a mysterious way as a result of naturalistic evolution. Okay, there's more to us than that. That's why faith is one of the 5 F's. The soul really does matter, which is why it is that when a couple love one another, if one of them loses an arm or a leg or ends up with a skin problem, it doesn't change. You still love the person. But if their soul changes, if something substantive, let's say mentally, which is part of the soul, sometime at that point you're with a stranger.
Yeah.
And so when secularism happened, women were led to believe that whatever men do, they've got to do better. So mindless sex, which is fine for many guys, not for a long period of time, but you give most men a risk-free opportunity for anonymous and mindless sex. I used to know one person who would have said no, but he died, so that's about it. Mm-hmm. So, but that's not what most people want. And it certainly isn't what women want. And there was this period during second stage feminism where women experimented with this, particularly on the university campuses. And it was horrible. It made life absolutely miserable.
So I guess what you're saying here is we're naturally are meant to reproduce, to need connection. Do you believe that over time, I guess we can't even distinguish between fear or some sort of limiting belief that's causing us to all of a sudden claim that, no, we don't want a relationship. No, I don't want kids. Or, what is it that's stopping us from, or what is making us to go opposite ways from natural phenomenon?
You're so good at what you do, Lynn, and it's such a pleasure talking to you. You said something crucial, and you said connection. And that is right. We are built to connect. And that is why, if you tell a busy business professional, Lynn, guess what? We're going to give you solitary confinement for the next 5 days. And you think to yourself, wow, fantastic, all the books I haven't had a chance to read, and nobody, no children, nobody's going to bother me. Oh, this is great. And you won't have been there for more than a few hours before you say, I can't take this.
It's like jail. Yeah.
And it's terrible. There's a great, in 2018, this is going back years, but 2 poker players in Vegas took a bet. One is Australian, by the way, Rory, somebody, you can look this up, it's a well-known story. He bet his friend that he couldn't spend 30 days in darkness, alone in a room. And the bet was, I think, $150,000.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And after 20 days, he couldn't take it. He was going to win
crazy,
only another 10 days for $150,000. Couldn't do it. The reason I say this is because being disconnected from other people is a recipe for psychic disintegration. Our entire mental apparatus, our spirit falls apart. God created us to be connected with other people. And so every part of life is enhanced by connection. And the 5F idea of ancient Jewish wisdom, that's why we have 5 books of Moses, for instance. The 5F is that we have connections not only with our family, we have connections with our friends. They're also very important. That's what saves Job's life in chapter 3 of Job. He was about to disintegrate. Yeah. And his friends saved his life. So we need connection with family and friends. We need connection with money and everything having to do with money.
And where does total commitment to one person come in, though? I think could be a fear for some people of, I don't want to be in it, whether it's I don't want to get hurt or I can do life myself, maybe just through a lot of trauma or past relationship that they now have made up their own belief that I can do life for the rest of my life alone.
And there may be 1 or 2 people who can, but for most of us, it doesn't work that way. And some psychologists have come up with this idea of, well, we live so much longer nowadays than we used to. So obviously monogamy wasn't intended. And these days, people can be married for 50 years. If you're speaking to somebody who is just driven by the present, the timing with focus only on the present. And the present speaks louder than the past and the future. The past and the future are a whisper. The present speaks very loud. And there again, one of the gifts of faith is connection with the past and the future. What I mean by this is that just about a week ago in Texas, a young football star was walking through the stands going to rejoin his family in the seating, and somebody had plonked himself down right where his things were. So he said, "Excuse me, do you mind moving? I'm with my family. This is where I was sitting." So the guy pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the heart, and he died in his family's arms there and then. Now, this guy who did it is obviously he's in custody. At one point, the police referred to him as the alleged murderer. He said, "Stop with alleged. I did it." So here you've got a guy who, in one instant, destroyed 2 lives, and let alone the family. But he took the life of this young fellow, same age, 2 guys, same age. And he destroyed his own life because he's going to be locked up now for 20 years. So, you got to ask yourself what's going on in his head. And I'm pointing at him because this is an event that just happened, but we could speak about 1,000 violent crimes that happen every day in America. Why would somebody do something that's, never mind, I could maybe understand why you would do it. This guy really irritated me. I got to get rid of him. He's dead. I kind of understand that because I've been irritated by people once or twice, and then I'm forced to admit I've probably irritated a bunch of people once or twice or 20 times. So, but wait a second. Fine, you're going to kill him. I get that. But you're also destroying your life. You have nothing left in the... Okay, the answer is that this is a young man who was not raised with any education or acculturation to past and future. He literally doesn't have a concept of the future. Now, if I say, hey, Lynn, did anything significant in your life happen 2,000 years ago?
I wouldn't know.
Yes, you would. There was a man called...
Oh, Jesus?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I'm the Jewish rabbi. I have to tell you this, right?
Sorry, yeah. I was thinking lhinking I wasn't alive then.
Yeah. Right. But so if we now talk about the events of 2,000 years ago, it's important.
Yep.
And if I were to say to you, Lynn, I really don't think you should do what you're planning to do, Jesus wouldn't like it. Does that carry some weight? It does,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Or how about if I said, look, sometime in the future, we don't know when, there's going to be some kind of glorious redemption, and we don't know the exact details of it, but wouldn't you like to be along for that ride?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so don't do what you are planning on doing because it's going to jeopardize whether you're going to be... All of these conversations are perfectly normal for a person who is part of a faith community. But to the person who isn't, and for you and me, it is truly difficult to fully comprehend just how silent the call of the future is and the call of the past. Because the present is powerful. The present is about pain, and the present is about pleasure. It's about avoiding pain, and it's gaining pleasure. And the whisper of the future, for most people, is very soft.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the first time you have a physical relationship with somebody, yes, it is a thrill. There's no question about it. And it's pleasure. And it speaks very loudly to men and women. And so now we've got to bring the voice of the future and say, do you have any idea of what it's like to go to bed every night with a person who knows you better than anyone else in the whole world and who you know better than anyone else? Do you have any idea of what that's? But this is only a whisper because it's in the future against the call of the present, which is, I'm done with you.
Yeah. I'm done with men. Yeah.
I can have this again with somebody else tomorrow and somebody else after that. And look, many women, you joked about that, but I'm sure you know this as seriously as I do, that many women do get turned off men because this is such a horrible thing that is done to them. Awful. And so, you know, with my own daughters and all my children, we tried very much to make a part of their education the past and the future. And so a little girl, I mean, when our daughters were 3 and 4 years old, they were already playing with dolls. We didn't force them to. We didn't make them. They're playing with dolls. And a little girl typically at 3 or 4 years old knows she wants to be a mommy. I promise you, take it from me then, no 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old boy ever says, boy, one day I'm going to be a father. Excepting unless he was religiously raised, then he will. But people who are raised secular, men do not think in terms of the future. Women are much more attuned to the future just because of biology. They think future. But guys don't have that. And there is, I mean, even in terms of fertility, a woman's fertility window has a close. But men retain their fertility to old age. And so there is nothing that calls men to be aware of the future. And so it's very, very easy for young people to say, no reason to make this permanent, no reason to get married. That's what's going on.
So what's really important is faith. Now,
So it's finance.
Yeah. And I guess with faith, there is a mixed word between spirituality, which sometimes people think it's just meditating, believing in yourself, journaling. But then, at first I thought that was what spirituality was, and that was faith was, because I was an atheist, and that was my first stepping stone. Yeah. But then I truly understand faith when I discovered Jesus and God and realized that it's not about me and there's the higher power. I guess if you could share a little bit of the Jewish understanding and biblical understanding so that our listeners can really understand what is spirituality, what is faith.
Yeah. So, I trained as a scientist. I worked as an engineer. So I like words to mean exactly what they mean. I don't like loosey-goosey words. So people sometimes talk of spirituality, and people sometimes talk of energy. You got the right energy. Words like energy have specific definitions to me. Words like spirituality, very specific. And so I can tell you what the definition of spiritual is. Spiritual is anything that cannot be measured in a laboratory. So, for instance, if a pregnant woman undergoes an amniocentesis and asks the doctor to do a test, she wants to know as much as she can about her future child. Anything she asks that is physical in nature, the doctor can tell her. The doctor will tell her what the skin color of the baby is going to be. The doctor will tell her if it's going to be a boy or a girl. The doctor is going to tell her if this child is going to have a tendency towards being large or petite. All of these things can be taught. The woman then says, "Doc, you're doing so well. You're telling me everything I wanted to know. I've got one more question, and that is my child going to be an optimistic person?" What does the doctor say now?
Yeah.
Not my department. Sure. That's a spiritual thing. I'm a scientist. I'm a doctor. I can tell you anything about the physical characteristics, but I can't tell you about this. She said, "Okay, is my child going to be a really loyal friend?" Sorry, you're back where we were before. Is my child going to have persistence? Well, now you see, all the things the doctor cannot tell her are the things that you care about when you hire somebody. You don't care. Skin color, sorry, not interested. Male or female, unless I'm hiring a swimsuit model, I don't really care. Size, I don't care.
Yeah.
What do I care about? Optimism, integrity, persistence, loyalty.
Which we call it soft skills. But in what you're saying is spirituality is something that it's not tangible.
You can't measure it in a lab is what I say. You say tangible, and you're exactly right, of course. But it doesn't mean it's not there. Love.
Yeah.
Right? Can we measure how much I love my family? No, it's not measurable. Yeah. It's not a physical characteristic. It's a spiritual characteristic. Now, so spiritual it's very important for understanding finance, because so many of the purchasing decisions that people make are for spiritual, not physical reasons. Let me give you an example. Have you ever bought a name fashion label?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
It gives you that feeling.
Yes. Does it keep you warmer?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. But there was real value in that to you. But it's spiritual value. I came in a suit out of respect to our audience, but what I really like wearing is a set of overalls that I wear when I work on my boat, because it takes me about 20 seconds to get dressed. Step into it, zip it up, put the arms, I'm done. And it's warm, it's great, but it's not what I would wear for every situation. Now we're talking spiritual concerns. And so you got to know your customer might be asking you for a raise. Your employee might be asking you for a raise, but what she really might be after is a spiritual boost, which she gets through the raise, but she might get it another way too. And you got to be very, very aware of the spiritual realities. A brand, the whole reason there is brand value is for spiritual reasons.
So faith and spirituality is different?
Yes, one section of spirituality is my relationship with the boss. That's one section of spirituality. It can't be measured, but it's not the only section. But it's also a very necessary section because it's a place from which strength can be drawn. We spoke earlier about strengthening the soul in order to be able to combat the body. Right? Everybody has temptations. Temptations even to do things that can wreck your life. There was a governor of New York only a few years ago called Elliot Spitzer.
Haven't heard of him.
Nice family, beautiful wife, wealth, prestige, everything. And he acquired notoriety because he became a client of a professional lady in Washington, D.C. And so he used to travel to Washington, D.C. to the Mayflower Hotel where she had her business, and he'd pay her and spend the night with her. And eventually it came out. And his life was ruined. You know, what's that about? You've got to understand that overcoming temptation, everybody has temptation, and overcoming it requires strength of the soul. And that's where the boss comes in.
Because often people go, I believe in myself. It's really about working on myself. And I was like that for a long time, but I felt like I didn't have as much strength. I had more strength when I can kind of lean on God and realize that there are certain things that kind of happen miraculously that there's no way I could have planned it or someone could just pop up coincidentally. And can you touch on that aspect of?
You know, you're exactly right. And you were fortunate. You went through an epiphany that brought you to God. A lot of people don't. And what makes it even harder is that a lot of people resist it. They feel that it tarnishes their self-image of strength. I don't need God.
Yes, that's what they say.
Religion is a crutch for weak people. Yeah, it's not exactly how it works. It's a part of strength. And so our strength, fitness, very important. We don't diminish the idea of physical fitness, but spiritual fitness is every bit as important, just as financial fitness is important. And if you're not paying attention to your friends and you're not devoting enough time and energy to nurturing friendships, that's another problem. And that's why we speak of the 5 F's. So these are the 5 fundamental areas that are necessary for a happy, successful, fulfilling life. Somebody once said to me, well, why don't you include the F for fun? Because fun isn't a reality. Happiness is. Fun is not durable. And you want to have fun, go have fun, enjoy yourself, God bless you. But in terms of building your life around, what sort of person would you be to build your life around fun? It doesn't work that way. And so the availability of faith is really, I think, one of the great blessings of life. And I am fascinated right now how, and I don't want to mention names, but there are a number of very well-known figures who are visible on the internet, visible in the digital universe, in politics, in culture, and they have huge followings. Jordan Peterson happens to be one of them, right? But there are a number of other people like that who are now tentatively taking serious steps into faith.
I know. I was so
It's
excited.
fascinating.
Yes.
I mentioned Jordan Peterson, a psychologist. There's plenty of secular atheistic psychologists. He's not one of them.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So
God's
basically,
working.
if you are an open-minded person, then you owe yourself the favor of looking into it and seeing what difference it makes to your life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, and I fully understand the I don't need religion, I'm strong. I fully understand that. I've worked with many clients who've been that area. You're withholding from yourself one crucial part of the human experience.
And sometimes people do find faith only to be drawn away because of the worldly desperation of, needing to make money or needing to get the status, and then this is where they stray away. And then I think it's really important to hear this again to kind of bring them back, to remind them the importance of that holistic you. Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch about finance, because that's the core part, which is why I discovered you. I read your book, The Business Secrets from the Bible, which is transformative. If you're wanting to start a business, if you're wanting to be financially successful, it's such an important book. So if you could touch on a little bit about why finance is important. It's not something to be shy about. It's not something that you need to be embarrassed and thinking that we're greedy.
Yeah, no, you're right, because when I speak to audiences, I very often, and this is probably one of the ways I irritate people inadvertently, not my intention, but I often say, who wants lots more money? And people sort of look around fearfully, and some people sort of hunch their heads down, and I have to say to them, look, there's only two ways of getting money. One is taking a .357 Magnum revolver into a convenience store, pointing at the clerk, and you'll be astonished how quickly he'll give you money. That's one way of doing it. The other way is serving another human being. Mm-hmm. And so I don't care whether it's your boss or your client or your customer or your supervisor or whoever it is puts money in your hand. It's because that whatever you did for them was worth more to them than the money. Mm-hmm. And so it's very simple. Who wants more money? Me. You know why? Because the only way I'm going to get it is by serving more of God's children. This is a very simple financial statement. Mm-hmm. This is not religious. This is not sociological. This is not spiritual. This is really very, very simple. There are a lot of different definitions of the word business. What is a business?
Yeah.
Oh, providing services, etc., goods and services. I'll tell you what a business is. It's something that has customers. You could be a business. Yeah. I could be a business. And maybe Sears is no longer a business because it doesn't have customers. Mm-hmm. So that's all it is. And so understanding that making money is not something we do as a digression from our spiritual realities. Making money is what we do as evidence that we are serving other people. It's a form of connection. Is what it is. Yeah. And I love going, Jewish weddings are famous for this. You walk around talking to guests at Jewish weddings. I go to a lot of weddings. I love it. And I always say to people, are you related to the bride or the groom? And the guy nearly always, there are always a few relatives there, but 9 times out of 10, the guy says to me, oh, no, I'm not related. The bride's father and I have been doing business together for 20 years. That's the kind of answer you get. So we don't, go and do business with our friends, but we do make friends with those we do business with. And so making money is, it's an answer to existential loneliness. The worst thing about retiring, that's why people die when they retire, is because they're no longer making money. Making money means you're serving other people, means you're connected to other people. Yes. It's when you find your purpose, you find your strength, and you serve others. And I think one of the biggest shifts for me when I read your book was that we're all children of God and we find ways to serve one another. It really opened my mind up to not feel so transactional, also to feel like, it's not about just serving my own immediate family and my friends. It's how can I be of service to everyone? And that really expanded my, entrepreneurship circle. It really expanded, my business as well as my happiness. I felt like the more I give without also feeling that, what am I going to get back? It's because I treated everyone as siblings now because of your book. Can you touch on just that concept around we're all children of God? Well, this is right. I'm sure your children never squabbled with each other, but my children did. And when they did, it was always very frustrating. And my wife and I, really, we prayed for the day when our children would start getting on with each other. And I remember exactly when it happened. And I suddenly said, thank you. It's happened. It's here. they're actually busy taking care of one another. Our Father in heaven looks at us the same way. When we take care of other people, we might call it customer service, but it's actually very related to worship service, because service is service. And so when I take care of another one of God's children, it makes him happy. Now, somebody come back and say very cynically, "Oh, what are you talking about? You didn't do it to make anyone happy. Not him, not him. You did it to get paid." Yeah, you're right. I'm an imperfect person. My motivation wasn't great, but it doesn't detract from the goodness of what I did. That's one of the reasons I love giving tips. I love leaving tips because it's an extra thank you. I know what you did for me. You may not know me, you may not care about me, but you served me nonetheless. I'm grateful for that.
It's just a matter of perspective, being able to give that tip as a
So
service.
there's no such thing as menial work. I don't care what the work is. I'm going to do it because he is going to be happy that I am taking care of another one of his children.
Yeah. So, Rabbi, since this topic is about, or the channel is called Faith to Freedom, we spoke about faith. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom, it's a very, very good question. And so in the Lord's language, the word freedom is exactly the same word as the word engraved in granite, which seems perverse, really, because freedom means doing what I like, and engraved in granite. And so true freedom means that my life is locked into certain structures that do limit it, but paradoxically, it's what gives me freedom. In other words, let me explain it this way. I run my life on a calendar. Okay, and I know when I start my day what's happening at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock. It doesn't sound as if I'm very free. But there is a homeless vagrant panhandling on the street outside. He has no calendar. He literally does not. He'll do whatever he feels like. Who is really more free?
You have more freedom.
If I want to go to Australia tomorrow, I can do that.
Yeah.
He can't.
Yeah.
And so paradoxically, freedom means constraining oneself, and the rituals and restraints of religion, paradoxically, are the portal to true freedom.
That is so interesting and so true, because I've discovered that too. The more routine I am, the more structure I am, the more free I feel.
Yes.
Because
and you know that when you're taking time off to go relax and do something, you feel totally free because it's not taking away from what you think you should be
And what
doing.
does freedom then mean or apply to an entrepreneur trying to achieve freedom for themselves?
It's probably not a good word to keep in mind, because unfortunately, if you probe anybody who tells you, "Look, I want to come be your client," and people have told me that I'm aiming for freedom. Sometimes they say financial freedom. And, if you want to give me a number, you'd like to have assets of $3 million. Okay, we can work on that. I can tell you how to move in that direction. I'm happy to do that. But freedom isn't a good word because it's nebulous. And if I probe, the person is finally going to say, well, he's kind of thinking of not having to work again. Well, I'm not going to tell you how to do that because that's just a death sentence. So I think I would discourage people from including the word freedom in their goal. Financial freedom, okay, let's turn that into numbers. I'll work with you on numbers.
And maybe it's really just a freedom to choose that people would really ultimately want.
Well, it's again back to marriage, Who has more freedom, me or the person who hasn't yet chosen a wife? I actually have more freedom.
Yeah. Okay. This is a very interesting answer that I haven't got. It really got me really thinking about it, and it makes a lot of sense. So as we wrap up, I usually like to ask the final question around, we have a lot of people watching this, and the reason why they watch this is because they want that inspiration to take the leap, to do something brave. What would you say to them watching this about taking that leap of faith into any desire that they're after?
Yeah. It's not original, but I would say that be honest about wanting tomorrow to be different from today. And if you really, really wanted tomorrow to be different from today, then today you got to do things differently from the way you did them yesterday. And be willing to, you got to get out of your comfort zone. Be willing to do things you haven't done before in a way you haven't done before. Think about things differently. Be open to something new because you want something entirely new. You don't want to continue the way you have for the last 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades. It's not too late to change. We're human beings. We're not cats or cows or camels or kangaroos. Cats or cows or camels or kangaroos don't change. They are what they are. But a homeless person can become a tycoon. It's happened. We are capable, and that means doing things differently today.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. It's such a privilege to have been speaking to you in person.
It's great.
I remember there was a video that I interviewed you on Dawncast, which was a lot about your background, your personal story growing up from South Africa, and you got to engineering. So if you're interested in exploring a little bit more about your background, check out that video. But thank you so much for being on here today.
And every single question you asked me, I was focused on answering the best way I could. But there was a part of my mind that was saying, and that's an interesting way of putting it. I'd love to get back to her and ask her what she meant by that. So I should really sort of turn around now. For the next hour, I'd love to ask you a whole bunch of questions. But maybe I'll be able to do that anyways.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.